So there are rumors and leaks talking about the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube getting a classic made by Nintendo. And I've got my phone here and we're gonna go and talk about a little bit of what it says. So this is on comicbook.com. Not quite sure why they're reporting it, but I'm not going to complain if they're bringing valid information. It says, new Nintendo leak possibly pointing at Nintendo 64 and GameCube Classic consoles coming soon. First off, I want to state, that is really awesome. If they figured out how to emulate the Nintendo 64 well and the GameCube, that is a game changer. Definitely for classics and definitely for Nintendo. So a data mining leak perhaps reveals that Nintendo is gearing up to release not one, but two of them. That's a big deal. If we get both of the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube Classic Edition relatively fast, that is going to be a awesome thing because, well, we didn't get one this year, but that's probably because of the Switch and the success that it was having, and Nintendo wanting to make sure what they put out was a quality product, because honestly, the PlayStation 1 Classic failed, and it really sucked. So, apparently a data miner recently plunged into some files of the Nintendo Switch online and unearthed some pretty interesting things, talking about SNES games and all that coming to the Switch online, which would be really, really awesome. But then it goes on to talk about how they could also potentially find a Nintendo 64 Classic and a GameCube Classic coming, because honestly, they are really excited about this, and you know why and I know why, because, well, the Nintendo 64 is a classic that probably a ton of people will go out in droves and buy. Now, I know the NES and the SNES Classic printed money for Nintendo, but I think the Nintendo 64 would really print money. If they do this right, where you can play 4-player stuff and maybe even hook it up to the internet and play with your friends, multiplayer online, I think they could make a ton of money. But we'll see if that happens. I know that there are a ton of games licensed by Nintendo that could just go on the Classic themselves and have no other games, and they would be really awesome. But I'd like to see some third-party games on there. Maybe Xbox and Microsoft will work with Rare, and Nintendo and Microsoft will work together and release some awesome Rare games on the actual Nintendo 64, because Rare made a bunch of awesome games for the Nintendo 64. So I am definitely excited about this. But the GameCube also would be really awesome because there's so many great games. Yet again, like I said, Nintendo could make their own Classic Edition with only their games and people would love it. And honestly, that would be something that would be sweet to see. But also, I want to see some third-party games on these systems as well. Maybe have a wireless controller for the GameCube, because, well, they made the Wavebird controller for the Nintendo GameCube, which would be really awesome. Maybe we'll see some more Nintendo 64 games go onto the system, more than the 20 that we got on the Super Nintendo 20+1, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But hopefully we could see a bunch of great games, and now I do have a video about what games I would love to see on the 64 Classic, but I honestly don't think all of those will make it, because some of those are third parties that probably don't want to license their game, or they just don't exist in the same faction that they used to. But honestly, I really would enjoy getting a Nintendo 64 Classic and plugging it in, because that is my bread and butter. When I first started gaming, console gaming, that was where I was really able to have my fun and play a ton of games, was the Nintendo 64. Now, I had an SNES, I had a Super Nintendo. Those were all fine and awesome, and I love them still to this day. But for some reason, the 64 is kind of where I grew up in gaming and played a ton of games. And so I want to see a Classic, and hopefully you guys will get the Classic this year as well. With that being said, if you are interested in the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube Classic, please comment down below and let me know what games you want to see on that. because these things can have a ton of wide range of games, and I think Nintendo will see what Sony did and make sure that they keep producing great classic consoles. So with that being said, don't forget about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Big Cartel, Patreon. All that stuff is down below in the description. Since you're already here, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you will see when I post videos. But most importantly, make sure you have a good day.